Okay.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you for all your prep work, by the way. So I didn't have anything. Hi, Kerry. Shall we kick off? Do you want to count us down, Ian?
I've already started recording.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Environmental Committee. Should we start off the agenda? Apologies for absence. I've got apologies from Martin O'Neill.
I have no one to share, that's all.
So nothing from Mike, Peter, or plastic-free mumbles. Rebecca, do you want to just say something, or Sarah, about plastic-free mumbles and the engagement on the committee about what we're hoping for?
Oh, my voice quality is poor.
That's probably me.
Oh dear.
Since I was 6. Not going to understand me because I spoke too fast.
Sorry, we're being heard. Are we being heard, Kerry? Yeah. Yes, just to let committee know that I met with Enya last week, I think it was. So Enya and Fionn were kind of the founding members of Plastic Free Mumbles, if you like. Fion's been the co-optee to this committee for a while, but various conflicting engagements hasn't always been able to come. Enya and I had a really constructive conversation about, I guess, some of the frustrations with Plastic Free Mumbles to date, I think it would be fair to say, but is going to come along to the next Green Heroes event.
Yes.
And we thought, because the theme of that is waste, Plastic Free Mumbles is all about reducing single-use plastic waste. We thought it was a really good springboard to kind of I suppose, raise awareness of the fact that the campaign is still live. It's not like it's died a death or anything, and sort of call out for any new volunteers that perhaps are hearing about it for the first time or haven't been involved before, and try and link it to some of the ongoing programme of the Environmental Committee. So the litter picks, for example, are like an obvious, where if there was more of a kind of group of Plastic Free Mumbles people, then the litter picks might find that they've got at least a core of people that are there every single time. So that would be really good as well for raising visibility of the campaign, as if we can link it to that. So there's a couple of outstanding things from last year which you and I touched base on, and like how we factor them into the work plan. But I think from our conversation about the Green Heroes event, I hope that we'll be able to get a little bit more kind of energy back into the campaign, really, and that might attract Enya to come along to these meetings a bit more often.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Rebecca. Carrie, you're going to say something?
No, I'm just agreeing that it's important that we kind of get them back up and running, because it had quite a good momentum, and then like everything in COVID, it all fell apart, and I think it's really important that we get it back up and running.
So how many members of, because you said that they're not massively constituted, because it's obviously they're a group in their own right. We've always given them the opportunity to come for various reasons. That hasn't happened, but when they have come, I think they've been brilliant. So on the back of all of this, I emailed Enya in the week. So I'm hoping that she can engage with this committee and with those events. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is we can support them as much as possible to engage with us. They'll hopefully, that event will give them more members for them to have a more robust sort of sense of organisation or presence. Because we can't do that for them. They've got to do this for themselves, and maybe we can support them in lots of ways. Okay, Brill, thank you for that. So, any declarations of interest?
Nope.
Any from the screen? Okay, none. Minutes of the previous meeting of the committee. I've gone through those, and I've had a good set of minutes, thanks, Ian. Anyone happy to propose them as a correct record of the meeting? I will propose them as a correct record of the meeting.
Sorry, until they're fine. I'm still trying to find them.
And does anybody want to second that? Yeah, thanks, Carrie.
I'm sure they're fine. I think you updated them, didn't you?
Yes, it was basically.
I'm actually ready to updated one.
It's from Paul's additional annex or whatever it was at the end, table, and it deleted about 8 of the numberings.
Oh,
I
no.
was looking at it, where's that, all that gone? So I put it back. So just to avoid the confusion, I thought I'd resend it.
So actions from the previous meeting. Ian, do you want to, I've gone through,
Right.
do you want to take us through and then I can?
Yeah, I'll just obviously mention the outstanding ones, Chair, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Number 2, which is yourself, Councillor Nelson, to explore options in relation to the siting of gazebo in Clyde Park.
We'll have an update on that.
Oh,
Do we
really?
do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it one of the agenda items?
No.
It's not, but in that case, can I cover it now? That'd be okay.
Yeah. So as you know, we've got £6,000 in our budget and we have had from previous years towards the design and establishment of a wooden gazebo in Clyde Gardens to replace the plastic tents, you know, by the touring teams, and they always get blown away. In fact, they might have got blown away. So every year we have, this is before my time, replace. And the idea
Still
came,
there today.
the idea came that like a rustic wooden gazebo would be built. So Carrie and Co had got 3 quotes when I joined the committee. I got a 3rd quote, and they were all in the region of like 20 grand plus for like a gazebo that would be environmental and in keeping with the situation in Clyde. We then got on a recommendation from someone from Coed y Fach. We got a quote from Scott of Dragonfly Creations.
Dragonfly
Which was
Creations.
about half the cost. It was about, I think it was about 9 or 10 grand. I can't remember offhand now. But it was, I can share the pictures with you. It was absolutely lovely. We then had to find out if we needed to get planning permission. We were told initially no, or had been told no initially before my time. And then we decided, let's just double check, because this could be really embarrassing if we go ahead and we actually find that we do need it. So we double checked. Spent all summer going back and forth with the council, and then they confirmed that we do need planning permission. And we raised with them the issue of once the gazebo was established, but ongoing maintenance costs that MCC or anybody else wouldn't be liable. So just to kind of, what I haven't said is Friends of Clyde Garden, it's like them we're working with. So at that point, I think it was felt that, you know, getting planning, this was needing quite a bit of driving, and, you know, I just didn't have time to do it. And Friends of Clyde were really keen. So we agreed with them that we would keep the 6k towards the cost in our budget, which is an environmental budget, which is still there, which needs to be carried over next year. I've asked Chris Evans for 2k, which he's committed to. Friends of Clyde are putting the remaining amount in. So I think they said they would put 2.5 in. So we had an estimate from Dragonfly Creative, but now we've got a final quote. Well, they've got a final. I met with Richard from Friends of Clyde and Tavion on Friday in Clyde Gardens, which is where they had the update. So they've now got a written quote from Dragonfly Creative for structure. They've all seen if I can share. But VAT is 20% added on to the 10.5 grand. So there's a outstanding sum of money now, which they've committed to finding themselves from their own budget.
Oh, good.
So that was the update. So So no progress to be made with planning. They are still talking to the planners. And we're gonna just have to wait and see. And so at no point we've not gone live with this. So there's no kind of public information as yet as to design, location, intention, because we're waiting just to go through that final bit of money from Friends of Clyde and the kind of the kind of hoops with to get it officially. Then it'll be registered with planning and in the public domain. So slow progress is being made, but I think they're really on it. They've got a guy called Ken Williams.
That's what we want to get the momentum going from them, because ultimately
we can support, but it's not for us to drive. So that's the situation.
Brilliant.
Just trying to find out a final bit of money, and then it'll be in the public domain with the planning application.
Chair, would you be happy if I put that back to April for an update?
Oh yes, great.
April update,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Kerry, if MCC paid the VAT on a project where we're only part funding, can we claim all of the VAT back?
It's a very good point.
That's a good point, and I would have to speak to Paul on that one, just because I think it would only be on the part that we're funding, if we're part funding.
I didn't even know we could do that.
But it would still, even if it was part funding, it would reduce the VAT, wouldn't it? So it's definitely worth
Because I was
taking
over
that
half.
with Paul.
Yeah, we're giving over half
Yeah,
of the amount.
so that would be, cut it down to they'd only find 10% rather than 20%.
So Kerry, you would find that out from Paul. I'll relate that back to, yeah. And I think, you know, what
I get them too excited.
Well,
Yeah,
I should pay for
not saying until you've got an answer.
I know, I've emphasised that FCC are not just a bank on this, you know, we're invested in the project, you know, definitely locally as well as the whole committee. It's been mentioned a few times, the full council, so, you know, we're invested in this active scheme. So the kind of little group of us that tend to meet has been me, it's like a little group I collected, me, Richard from Friends of Klein, which is like a relatively new group, he's the chair, Tavion, the head gardener, and Kate from Quadenbach.
Yeah, good.
And Victoria from the touring team who's had a baby.
Who's just had a baby?
So is that okay?
There's no action required for that, is there?
Apart from Kerry.
Oh, you're action, okay.
Yes, to speak to Paul.
Okay.
Keep going here.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Right, and the next one is number 9. Lydia, together with the clerk, will be working through an application for the National Lottery Local Places for Nature Fund.
Yeah, been done.
That's been completed,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, that went in before Christmas, didn't it? Kerry, do you know what, did they give a timescale for responses?
I think we're going to be looking roughly February, March time.
Okay.
Good. The next one is number 10, which is Councillor Sarah Keaton will propose a location for the wildflower verge in West Cross to be planted in the spring.
We could cover that under Lydia's report because quite a lot of documents attached to that, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, I think we've got a date, haven't we?
Yeah.
Right, and that's number 10. And number 13, another one for Lydia. Lydia to circulate relevant information on carbon literacy to all committee members. Was that? I don't know if that was that.
It's something went out, but I think it needs a proper conversation in full council, I
We've
think.
got the documents. Yeah, they were in the folder.
Kerry, I think, you know, when we had that conversation, we felt it did need a full proper conversation. If it just goes blind and cold to council members, I just don't think we're going to get the uptake that we want. So
Okay, do you want me to include it as an agenda item on February's council meeting?
If you're happy with that, yeah. Be good. Thanks, yeah, Kerry.
Agenda item.
Ian, remind me when I'm agenda setting, so I remember to include it.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
And the next one is number 20. Councillor Tanzane Jones to research possibilities
She has raised it.
of charging and storing an electric vehicle overnight at Ostrim or another site.
Yeah, we have, we've raised it, and the issue is that the way it's designed at the moment, those charging points would be on the street. So they would be in the existing parking spaces, so that moves it up to the next level, obviously, of requiring that conversation with Swansea Council. But they have been actually put on the plans, haven't they, Kerry?
Should we
Yeah.
show that complete then? Are you happy with that?
It's complete from our end. It
Okay.
just, the next
Sure.
stage is to see if Swansea Council will allow us, Rebecca.
Do you know exactly what charging facility is in the plans for the street? Is it a fast charger, slow charger?
I think literally all we've put in the plan is just the location at this stage. I don't know if it's been costed at all.
And is it one charging?
And no, I think it's like one of those where you've got 2 spaces.
So that's relevant to this committee, isn't it? Because we were discussing whether to put in the budget for next year EV charging points, and then Carrie remembered it possibly would be included in the Ostrom redevelopment plan. So as part of an existing scheme anyway.
Yeah, so we've kind of got the principle there, but it would very much be up to Swansea Council.
So who will raise that with Swansea Council? Is that something?
I'm assuming Will might, because he's on the Austrian working group.
Could we?
Or Kerry, obviously, because if it's coming from MCC, then I guess it would be from Kerry too. So maybe that can be the kind of follow-up action, is that we broach Swansea Council about the possibility of, because there was something about those spaces in the pre-planning report, wasn't there? So it's Swansea Council kind of got it kind of on the radar.
We keep going, thanks Ian.
Lovely. These are all new now. Well, I say new, these are all from December. Number 21, regarding Mumbles Buzz and Bloom, Councillor Nelson and Lydia to compile a final list of categories suitable judges and approach external judges such as Klein Gardens, Head Gardener, Tyvian.
Yes, so.
Sorry, Chair, could I just interrupt there? Sarah's had her hand up for quite some time.
Oh, we can't, it doesn't, sorry, it doesn't show.
It's because it's behind that. Can you just get rid of that?
Sorry, we can't see it. The things behind the recording.
Where are the messages at the top?
Just at the top.
X
Press on the X at the top there.
Yeah.
And that one. And that one. Yep.
I still can't see it.
No, it's probably gone
It's
down
because
now.
she's just lowered it, but she did have it up for quite some time.
Sorry, Sarah.
That's lovely. Thanks, Ian.
Okay.
Perfect.
Are you muted?
No. I can't hear you, Sarah.
We've got no sound.
We got sound from Kerry.
It's a problem with Sarah's mic.
Try again.
Has your mic got muted? Not muted, you know, the volume turned right down.
Can you put it into the chat? If we got a chat up or somebody could be in the, can you put it in the chat, Sarah?
She's maybe going to try logging on with a different,
Oh yeah, could be worth just leaving and coming back in.
or using an iPad or so instead of the computer or something.
So maybe just carry on with the actions and wait for Sarah to come back.
So the last one was Mumbles Buzz and Bloom, the arrangements really.
So Lydia sent me the kind of suggest, we discussed it at the last committee, and I think we were thinking of allocating a committee member with somebody else for different awards. I think like business, school, front garden, like what we'd had before. I think we did add some categories on last time, but like wildlife friendly.
Well, yeah, because we haven't done one at all for the last 4 years.
So I recirculate what suggested to everybody, put everyone's name down, people can see if they're happy with it. And I think it was like teaming, Carrie with somebody else, Lydia with Tavion, so sort of Martin Russell with, there was 2 people for each category.
Yeah, because I don't remember seeing that at all. So yeah, see what would be.
Recirculate that or circulate it.
Done.
So, and we'll come on to Mumbles Buzz and Bloom in Lydia's report, which I have to give. So keep going.
Number 22, regarding Mumbles Green Heroes. This has been covered actually just now. We've just completed it. So that's good. 23 is with regards to current environmental grant, Whitestone School to be chased up by.
So this is important, this one. So shall we go through those individually, those schools, to see where we are? So Whitestone was who again, Ian?
Pam.
Oh,
yeah. She was at a governor's meeting tonight.
Do you want to quickly text her? Is that meeting still happening?
No, she'll. Oh, it might be. We started at 5.
So we could just put either nothing from Pam. Keep going in. The
next one is Sarah with the Grange School.
We'll come back to Sarah.
I think. Oh yeah, she's had to.
The next one is Rebecca with St David's School.
Huge.
Complete. Let me just see if I can find. Did I get any response?
These are, I can't remember if you were, these are the people who were the governors of the schools. Yeah. And I think Will and Rob, they're on the Newton one, aren't they?
I've done that one. That's good.
That's done, yeah.
That's sorted, is it?
Yeah, Mr. Morris got back, he contacted me directly actually, so I put him in touch with Lydia, so it's all been done.
Can I just say the Llandero one is done, I contacted them. And
26th,
Yeah, so St David's, I wrote to the chair of governors and I just got a reply that said, thank you, Rebecca.
Oh.
So it's been acknowledged.
well, I think we know we've got a huge effort here, this £500 per school. We've got a mass since June to offer this £500. Sarah's back. Do you want to try knocking your mute on? See if it works.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yay!
All right, okay.
Yay!
What I would say is that it is a real problem. I know what we were doing was obviously illegal before, although we didn't know it, handing them the money straight out. But I think they have just so much paperwork and work. They just don't seem to get on to doing that, pocket of money. But yeah, well, keep persevering. Anyway.
Any news from Grange, Sarah? Are they going to be able to use the £500?
They could easily. They do. The children do a lot of stuff outside. They've got a really good grounds person there, Bev, who's amazing with children planting stuff. He really takes it on his own shoulders, so he could really do with £500. But yeah, I'll have a word with the head teacher. He's a nice guy, and and he wants to reach out. So I'll have a word with him.
Yes, because they have to. Email Lydia sent an email, and there's things they have to do, is that they have to respond.
Yeah, to do an action plan.
So Llandero wanted for raised beds at the front of the school, so the school will have to respond. So if they do want it, we can't just give it to them. So that's what we realised just now. So Sarah, when you go back to Grange, is that okay? So Ian, if you pick that up, sorry, my voice is going.
Yeah, I'll speak to Grange
Yeah.
and Llandero. I'll speak to Grange and Llandero as
Yeah,
well.
I saw I'd spoken. That was an action. Llandero was an action for me last time, and I've spoken to Mrs. Trick, and they wanted for raised beds in the front. So that's all in hand. And
Have they sent the
not yet,
back?
but no, she said to do it in the new year.
Okay.
So that is in hand. But Grange,
So just pray. Okay.
And we'll get back to Pam. Yeah.
From what we've just explained that now, it's difficult to get through the governors and head teachers. Is there some kind of protocol you can think about that every council knows when they go to the school to say, this is what we got and this is how it works?
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of, so it's clear for everybody, gets the same message.
Yeah. I think it's really tough for the schools because I think they are so overloaded. That's what it's clearly why they got so much in their inbox.
But if you don't mind coming back, in the same way they've got playing, working together with lots of groups, if they put that out to the PTA and said, look, if you can come up with some money, we got this.
Yeah, PTA
And
might
then
be.
have something bigger that belongs to a lot more people.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Mm.
Like a wider scheme.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah. So
I do think it's a really valid point that Ed's making though about how we use our link governors.
Yes.
Sarah, we can see your hand now. Because there's lots of things, the like adverts for our family fun and stuff. It's all just like completely up to whichever governor. So if we could have like a thing where it sort of says in big capital letters at the header of the email, to forward to your,
I see where you're
like a mailing list for the governor.
Governors, good idea.
And then every committee can say, this is one that governors need, and it goes to that list all at once.
Yeah. No, that's very sensible.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think we need to make it as easy as possible for them. I think we need to say, what time do they usually have to claim the money? Is in the new financial year, or is it in?
I think it's
so
March.
March. March, right? Well, we say beginning of March. We send out an email and say, sign here. Just say you want it, and then.
No, they have to. The point is, they have to, put together a little form about what they're going to use the money for.
I think we've been advised that giving them the money wasn't the kind of correct way to do it.
Okay. Right, yeah, then you're always going to have that problem, really. Okay, that's okay, thanks.
I mean, you see, in Oystermouth, there is like one of the teachers is kind of the eco champion for the school. So I was able to just kind of go straight to her
Well, that's another
as the governor and just say, you know, and so Caroline and her just straight away just put it together and sent it back in.
Hold that thought a minute, 'cause I think that's
Yeah.
a good one.
Do you send out sort of an example pro forma of what one would look like, so they're not?
I don't think we have. I think we've sent loads of emails, and I think Lydia then set it out in really basic steps.
Yeah.
But we haven't. I don't think she gave an example of. I don't think it's a complicated form. It's like name, school, summarise what you want to do.
Okay.
You know, it really is simple. And I just think, like when I talk to Idero, I think they get so many emails. I don't think they've even opened it.
That's the trouble.
And they go directly to head teachers or governors.
So I think that contact. So I know now Mrs. Trick is the one to go to Mrs. Routledge.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll know that lady. So that's something that we should ask.
Yeah, similarly in Newton, Mr. Morris, who's the forestry,
Yeah.
teaches my girls actually. Let's contact for her.
So
And
we need those lists.
We got success from Males because I had that contact.
Yeah.
They said they submitted their application within a week because I got it to the right person, not just them.
That's right.
So I think for next year then, if we all share, can you all send to Ian the email and the name of the person, and then we've got that little list.
Well, no, the problem is because often it'll change. They won't necessarily be the same teacher next year.
Well, let's copy the head.
So, but if, as long as the main thing is to have all the governors, because the governors will know if there's any changes. They will always know who the right teacher is. So the best thing to do is just make sure that they go out to all the school link governors, and the link governors take responsibility for making sure they speak to the right person. As you say, Rebecca said once, you know, she'd go up to the right person. Same with me, straight away it's done. So it's just using the governors and getting those links. So that's better than
They
having a number of a
often they
teacher.
still don't have the power to actually say, oh yeah, I'm going to fill in this form for the school. It has to go through the governors or the head teachers. Okay, so it's not it's not often that simple.
I think that the more contacts we've got, the better, isn't it?
Yes.
Because it's taken us since June to get a place. About 3 schools out of 7 have applied. So I think if we know in some schools, right, we've got the governor, say to Dale, it'd be sending it to Sarah, sending it to Mrs. Collins ahead, sending it to Mrs. Trick, who's the one who's going to actually do the work, or Mrs. Routledge. And I think if we've got that list for every school, I think we're more likely to get success, isn't it, than just kind of going down the route of the headmaster or just the governors. Anyway, let's move on from that because we still are actions on the clock.
Right. And the next one is 28. Councillor Nelson to liaise with Claire Anderson over highlighting work of Environmental Committee and volunteers in forthcoming MCC.
That's done. In fact, Claire emailed me today to update her with some of the events. Volunteering, yeah.
Okay.
Lovely. And the next one is number 29. Lydia to liaise with Claire over signs.
I think that's been done.
That's been done as well.
Because she said that it may be partially done because Martin certainly put the sign up in.
That's for Norton Nature Reserve. Those were specific signs, but we were talking more generally about. I mean, one of the key things which has been raised numerous times is the signs for the water fillers.
Last meeting this year, I said, has that been done? And he said yes, and it's still not done in Clyne.
Still not done anywhere.
Right.
Can
Can you bring that up with Martin? Because he did say in this meeting, when I raised that, a few of us raised it in the last meeting in December, about, the water
Yeah,
fillers.
it's not just that. What is the key thing is having a sign. Swansea Council will have to be involved. Putting a sign on the prom or on the road, a proper
sign.
sign for people, because people don't know that those water fillers are available. And so what we have to have is a sign on the prom. I mean, even the one that's practically on the prom, because it's in the car park on the outside of the public toilets. People don't even know it's there.
And Langland, you've got the water fillers in Langland,
Yeah.
yeah. Bad, and people on the beaches buy plastic
Don't
bottles.
know.
So that's slightly more complicated, isn't it, than certainly what I've spoken to Martin about. Kerry, can we pick that up? Because I think he might be confused with what we need, because he definitely said in the last meeting it'd been done. And then when I went into Klein, I could see that the water filler there was not labelled, funded by MCC.
No, the ones at Castle
So-
and Norton aren't either.
So Ian, Kerry and Helen to speak to Martin, or Kerry to speak to Martin, Luke Helen, April.
I think, Chair, the next one links with that really. Martin and Lydia and RFO to liaise over purchase of signs and notice boards. That's all connected, isn't it?
Yes, thank you.
And the last one is Martin to obtain quotes on picnic benches and wood carvings for January.
Wood carving was either. And like in any case, I said, right, so Martin's coming to meetings every 2 months. Should we leave that to February? When
Leave that
he
for
will be
February.
here?
Why do we need quotes for picnic benches? We have dozens of picnic benches. We have benches that are waiting to be, emails have gone out saying, for goodness sake, please tell us where you want these benches. We do not need to go and buy more benches or picnic tables.
So should we pick that up? 'Cause there's a few things in there, like wood carvings. I genuinely couldn't remember. But it might have been that I just, missed
Yeah.
the conversation.
Question mark is that.
Yeah, well, let's pick that up at the February meeting or prior to the February
So
meeting.
Wilton's at the next one anyway, isn't he?
He's coming every 2 months now.
Oh,
That's the end of it, Chair. Thank you.
Oh, thank goodness, well done. Sorry I've taken so long on that, everybody. So budget monitoring report. Kerry, were you planning on introducing this, or is
It depends. Have you all had chance to look at them?
they have, but I haven't got it in front of me because that's
Yeah.
my laptop.
sorry, just give me a minute.
Bear with me.
It will come up in a minute.
Helen,
I
I've got a
have
copy.
actually. Right, I have actually spoken to Paul about this last week because obviously he is our finance officer, and what he's actually agreed is that he will come every quarter to the committee meetings and give you an update on your budget reports, because it's a little bit pointless putting reports in from an officer who's then not here to present the report. So just bear with me, I'm just having a look at the reports myself, and then
I think this year was kind of a larger than spend, isn't it?
Yes.
Trying to get to the final. I feel I have to be a lot more organised than I've been. I really struggle with this whole thing of getting recommendations in. So I'm hoping in the February meeting to come with some recommendations which deal with the underspend and which move us on. And sorry, I think that's the budget. Is that the budget?
So this is proposed.
Yeah, that's the one you want to look at.
We're under 23k.
So we had some discussion at full council, for instance, around Martin's expenses, and a lot of the costs that we will incur will come into this quarter. For instance, the wildflower stuff, the gardener's question time. So there are quite big.
They're only littles, aren't they? They're tiny. It's like £500 or something, isn't it?
Well,
The turf is more, isn't
yeah,
it?
that's about two and a half.
Open these folders. It's come up as a zip file, and
It's too early on.
I did at home, but it's on this one. I've not a
yeah,
clue.
so if you, oh, well, you've got Amelia there, I'll let her explain because she's probably better than me.
The zip file.
Good question, Kerry, which you might
I
not.
know,
The largest budget item for the environmental committee is
but it didn't come up with the option to extract them. It just came up.
Yeah.
the largest budget item for the environmental committee is the civic amenities budget. I feel like it was 2 meetings ago that there was that confusion of,
Yeah.
has it been,
So I thought the confusion at the previous meeting. Do you want to say it? Because you.
yeah, the question was, has it been wired to the Castle Woods Paths
That's right.
scheme?
And it was agreed in principle that it would, and there was a slight muddle up.
Right,
So Carrie and I collectively didn't get it right.
so is it not wired?
It is wired.
It is wired.
Yes.
So actually that 23,000 under figure is sort of artificially inflated by the fact that £7,500 of it has been wired to a different project.
It
Yeah.
is,
Which we're
but
waiting on.
However, the budget meeting to agree the budgets, including the final firemen's, is on the 29th. So potentially that's why he's still showing it how it is. And then obviously once everything's agreed, he'll show that as being vied into the other into the next year then.
Okay, makes sense.
But nevertheless, I think there is an underspend. And a few of us have discussed little projects or things. And so I think at the next meeting in February, we'll know what the budget is. And I think that meeting has to be really focused on then agreeing some recommendations for spend. Otherwise, we're going to go into another financial year with a really big underspend. Because that's what, since I've been on this committee, there's been really massive underspend, like 40 grand in some instances. So I don't think we've got time to go through this in detail now, but I think once we know what our budget is after the 29th of Jan, are people happy with the February meeting? Bring some proposals, we'll look at this budget again, and small things that we want to get done within this financial year, which we can get done in this financial year. Are people happy then that we put some recommendations together and get that forward?
We've got the recommendations. These are based on what we want to do with the money. It's just a matter of implementing them. It's not coming up with recommendations. That's for next year. This is spending the money on what we've committed it to be spent on.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
So it is a recommendation in the sense that we need this committee doesn't make enough formal recommendations to council to release that money.
Yeah.
That's like it's like a basic thing that we can fix.
Yeah,
Let's say
that's what I'm saying.
in February,
Yeah.
we like get out,
Yeah.
set of recommendations that means that we can then spend money. I'm not saying we like have to come up with new ideas.
I mean, it's not new ideas.
It's what's getting us through. Yeah. Sarah.
Okay, I was just betting myself how long it would take for you to notice. I was going to say, what about finishing projects properly? I know that both paths, the path in West Cross and the path around Oystermouth Castle, will cost a lot more than we've got. Could we put a few more thousand into that to see something, to have them both done to a better state, or have more of them done?
I'd say all the community budget is going.
I think for the moment, we wait to see until we've got an exact cost of what can be done with the money.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
We'll hear about, when do you think we'll hear, Carrie, about?
I think again, it's probably around March.
Because
by judging from the timescale from the last round, it went in November and it seems to take about 3 months.
Yeah, and I think a huge amount of our underspend from last year, plus all of our civic community budget, went into the past project for Castlewood and Washing House Brook, wasn't it? So I think that's quite a substantial of our money that's gone into that particular project. I think Carrie's right. Let's just wait and see if people within the framework, I think Carrie and Rebecca was explaining better than I was trying to do. Within this framework of our budget, if people have got ideas or planting or small things that are going to be able to use this money, let's get it to the meeting. So that's why I was saying earlier on in this meeting, for some reason I find it really difficult to somehow work within the rules of this committee where things have to be properly proposed and everything. So let's try and focus February on that, and then we won't have such a huge carryover and we'll have stuff that we've achieved on the ground. Kerry?
Ellen, I'm actually working Friday and I'm in the office if you want to come in Friday morning to see me, to have a catch up and we can discuss your concerns then. I've got a meeting 10 till 11:30 and then so I'm either free before or free after 11:30.
We do have 11:45 or something.
Yeah, that's fine.
The concerns are only concerns of myself. Let's just make that clear. I'm not concerned with anybody else. It's just my
you will have me all to yourself as well.
Brilliant. So Friday the 26th.
Yeah.
Fab. Okay, anything else on budget? Does anyone want to say anything whilst we're on it in terms of just getting ourselves ready for the budget meeting on the 29th? I wasn't at that pre-budget meeting.
I think it might. I should have prepped you. I was going to ask this, and I perhaps should have prepped Kerry as well. For me, the most controversial environmental proposal that came up in what I was calling a scrutiny meeting, pre-meet, whatever you called it, before Christmas, was the EV, the electric vehicle. And I think that debate is actually about, do we value a vehicle the fact that it's an electric vehicle is a bit of a red herring.
Yeah.
If we value a vehicle, we've declared a climate emergency, and I will advocate tooth and nail that it should be an electric.
Yeah, I'll definitely be embarrassed if it wasn't.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think because it was an electric, people, and it therefore is more expensive, some of the questions. So yeah, so basically what I wanted to know was
Separate the issue.
yeah, and Kerry, you've already got your hands up, so that's great. But I think a lot of it's going to be around usage and like, how are we confident that we've got some of those sort of arguments really?
Yeah, we need to have
Maybe
them.
together.
Yeah,
Sam.
so what I've
Yeah.
done, Paul asked for supporting cases to be put to him. So I've actually given him the supporting case for the purchase of the electric vehicle. I've actually obtained a quote for purchasing a petrol vehicle as well. And I've also, and then what I've done is put everything into a table of pros and cons for the electric vehicle, the petrol vehicle, and actually providing a allowance to our gardener as well for using his own vehicle. So it will be down then to the council to make the decision. I have actually asked that, because this, what I'm doing is going through the framework in Swansea to get the quote, so we get better prices on the vehicles. I've actually asked them, because that was for 10,000 miles usage a year, that if we dropped it down to say 6,000 or 7,000 miles, would that make the vehicle any cheaper? So I'm waiting for a response back, so I'll chase that tomorrow with him and just explain to him that we've got our meeting next Monday where we'll be agreeing that. So I'll see what he comes back with then, and then obviously if I can bring that information to scrutiny, I'll bring it to scrutiny.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
That's, yeah, thank you so much.
Right.
Right. Our meeting's in our diary on Friday. Brilliant. Thanks, Kerry. That's really, really organised and good. Just to make sure, sorry, I'm gonna cough. Kerry, could you or Paul please send around the latest version of that budget that's going to go into, or has it already been circulated? I've got an old copy, but I just want to make sure that everyone's got a
Yeah.
copy of that.
So what Paul will be doing either tomorrow or Wednesday, ready for the meeting on Monday, he will be circulating the proposed budget as it stands at the moment. Obviously, I've asked him to prepare a couple of different options of budgets for councillors, and then he'll also then be circulating the proposals as well, which are the main things that need to be considered in the meeting, ready for everybody. So you'll be getting all of those this week anyway.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kerry. So everyone happy to move on to item number
So
6?
can I just
Yeah.
raise something on
Yeah.
the transactions, which I just feel, as the environmental committee, I feel that we should perhaps be a little bit more careful about where we purchase items.
Yeah. You're on Amazon.
Using
Yeah, yeah,
Amazon for
yeah.
everything
No, I
is,
totally
I don't
agree.
feel is
Yeah.
showing very much
Yeah,
environmental consideration. So I think even if we can't make the rest of them do it, but at least if the environmental committee could try and look at actually where we purchase things from, you know, to minimise our carbon footprint, maximise the opportunities of using local businesses wherever possible.
I think that's right. You know, I've raised this with Lydia because for the environmental stand, a lot of like metal stuff was bought from Amazon,
Yeah.
and I don't think it fits. And so I've actually given Lydia,
Right.
you know, some of the old knitted stuff like in the mails box
Yeah,
covers.
yeah.
I've cut all that away and I've given it to Lydia for the stand.
Great.
So she's got some locally knitted things, which I think just look nicer. It's nicer to have a little woolly bee than a metal bee, because I didn't really like it either. Anyway, Kerry.
So I'm just going to play devil's advocate here, and probably I'm just going to say though that the nearest Amazon warehouse to us is Swansea, so it's not like we're ordering from Amazon and it's coming all the way from Manchester. The majority of the items that will be delivered to us are actually coming out of the warehouse in Swansea.
But where did they come from before they got to Swansea?
Yeah.
They didn't just completely appear.
Everything comes from China anyway.
I think
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm going to bring Solomon in, but I just want to say this. I think, you know, sometimes if you're buying a whiteboard, it's better to try and buy it from, you know, Smith's down the road or whatever it's called now, Letterbox. I think sometimes some of the stuff that we buy, I would say, I just think the manufacturer of it probably isn't particularly green.
Yeah.
And I do think we have to be, you know, it's really, really important where we procure and supply our stuff from. So yeah, just I don't
The other
like.
issue we've got, sorry, just to raise that as well, is that what we're trying to do is move over to a system where we're procuring from suppliers who can provide us with an invoice, and then it's paid that way, because at the moment staff are having to use individual or personal cards to make the purchases and then claim it back, which isn't actually ideal for what we're doing. So we're trying to actually move over to more account based, where we would buy from people and they provide us an invoice. So I'll provide you an example of this. The wildflowers company we get the wildflowers from, where Martin goes locally, they actually now invoice us, because we've asked them if we could open an account with them so they can invoice us, and we do it that way instead.
Can I just bring Sarah in? She's had her hand up, sorry. And have you got your hand up? No. Sarah.
Yeah. I was going to say that's yeah. Even if you buy the stuff from down the road, the hardware store, it's probably come from somewhere in China. I was going to say, actually, late to the party, earlier on you were saying, well, can you have ideas money-wise, things that you could put into the budget? Last year we did wildflower seeds, and we gave them to every child in West Cross. I think it'd be lovely if we could do that for every child in Mumbles, for as a sort of, you know, early summer thing, that they could plant seeds.
Yeah, bring us. Yeah, I love that, because we had it, Sarah, because you did it. Can you bring that then to the next meeting? Because cost. I don't know if that cost you, but it would be useful to know how to scale it up. So just coming back to the Amazon thing, I think, you know, Amazon is not great in terms of ethics and how they treat their staff. And I think sustainability is wider than a green issue. And I think if we look at those issues in the round, and you know, we need to support, I would say, our local economy, circular economy. So I know it's not always going to be possible, and there might be some Amazon purchases, but I think they need to be like in the absolute minority and extenuating, rather than that's where we go as a default. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I just it's probably worth having a conversation with local shops who we use regularly, or potentially could be using regularly, like Cash Hardware, like Letterbox. There might be others, because I'm sure if you ask them, they would give you invoices.
We are on an invoice basis with Cash Hardware already. Right. It's just like when you say go into Smiths or somewhere like that, that would involve a member of staff driving from the office down to Smiths to pick up the product that we need, and Smiths won't give you an account, so it would be an individual paying and then claiming that back and doing it that way. So we do have a stationery supplier now that they deal with supplying town and community councils, and they provide discounted rates to what we would find elsewhere. So we are moving over to using them more than trying to go through Amazon.
Okay, thanks, Kerry. And I just wonder, Kerry, if this is worth picking up with Martin as chair, because it would be good that other committees, you know, act in the same way, because you know, this is just something for this committee. So would you be able to pick that up with Martin, do you think, Kerry, or do you need two more?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm seeing him on Thursday.
Yeah, thank you, Kerry. Okay.
I was going to say, surely the Big Leap will actually jump on that too, because they'll want us to have better standards for these things. Yeah.
Hold that thought.
Yeah. This is what the carbon footprint, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So where it comes from, if it comes from China, it comes from China. There's no alternative as it comes from. But where does it come to us? It comes off the motorway, comes to Amazon, wherever it comes from, whichever docks, and then it's delivered one thing at a time by a van that comes round out now the streets, which was the whole idea of having some kind of hub where we could use it locally, we deliver it with an electric bike. Whatever. It's something the city council should do, to have some kind of hub off the motorway with a variety of different forms of delivery then, and the delivery then is carbon footprint you can manage, even if it be horse and cart. You know, but it's about having your committees to think, well, what kind of, you've only got to look at Amazon once and everybody knows what it gets from there, the carbon footprint.
Yeah.
If I understand, if you don't mind me going on, that the Cash Hardware got their own greenhouse, their own plants, so they're not necessarily buying in from Holland. So, and there's Merton and all these different places that they could be looked at, and clearly their footprint would be far lower. And that kind of thing to be dispersed around the committees when they are purchasing.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. I think that's absolutely right. So,
Suggestion, so there's a town and community councils forum, which is between Swansea Council and all of the town and community councils in its area. And the agenda is pretty much always set by Swansea because no town and community council says anything. And I wonder whether something, because they obviously have a huge procurement function, millions and millions and millions of pounds.
yeah.
Could we ask them for some sort of presentation on how town and community councils can reduce their carbon footprint through procurement?
Yeah, because Kerry and I are on it, and I think you're
On it as a
city council, so that's 3 of us. There's a meeting coming up soonish, isn't there?
There is a meeting coming up and I'm actually on holiday, but they have actually put on the agenda something I asked for. They, after the last meeting last year, they emailed round asking for ideas. So I asked them if they could present to all town and community councils the role of the monitoring officer and how they can assist town and community councils, and that's actually on the agenda for the next meeting.
Brilliant.
I think this conversation relates to the One Voice Wales Innovation Climate Change Toolkit. Because
Yes.
that's a really, really
It's
useful
true, it
resource.
does, it
So
fits
can
in with that.
Can we come to that next before we go through all the projects? So I did say to Ian, where's this come from? Because I didn't know. So
Yeah, from Carrie. Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
because I looked at that and I thought it was a really excellent document. So do you want to say a bit about it then, Carrie?
Yeah, I mean, you,
I did, yeah, in the workshop.
I'm thinking, were you there too?
Yeah, I saw the agenda and wasn't sure what it related to.
Right, yeah,
If you haven't read that, some of the papers, it's really worth reading.
yeah, what it is, it's a joint initiative between Friends of the Earth and One Voice Wales. And it's just, it goes through just simple
Yeah,
steps.
so good.
You know, what we can do here in the office, you know, just easy wins.
Chemicals,
And then
energy,
building up to bigger things, but starting with just like, look, you can do this now, you know, kind of stuff. So people, it's just getting into that mindset. And then it's just got lots of ways of ideas of how you can mitigate, you know, the environmental impact you have.
I was going to say the headings are really relevant.
Mm.
So a lot of the kind of resources I see in work, I think how they don't really relate to town and community council in terms of like the really small assets you've got, or you cleaning toilets, or you know, whatever. But in this document, it's like really relevant. So you can read it, think, oh yeah, you could really say it was relevant to what we would do. Yeah. So it's worth going through. So Carrie, how do you want to take this forward then?
Well, it's there.
Options, there's a lot of options for us to consider.
And everybody has read it, of course, because you all got sent it. But it's really, I suppose, for us to just go through it, you know, because it's all, as I say, it's like, you know, paint, chemicals, you know, pesticides, cleaning the toilet, yeah. And just start by kind of identifying, you know, cleaning products. That's an easy one to start. You know, we can, you know, we use them in all over the building. So let's start by looking at those.
So Carrie, could you go? Sorry, Sarah. Sorry, I'm too busy looking at Carrie's laptop.
No,
Sorry.
it's fine. It was just an aside from what Carrie was saying. Carrie and I spent a long, interesting few afternoons going around with people who did eco cleaning of toilets when we thought we were taking over the toilets. And also when we went to the environmental thing, you probably saw it as well, Helen. They had what was it? It wasn't rice paper, it was toilet paper that was made. It wasn't bamboo, it was something else.
And the Welsh company,
Yeah, and we could look into stuff like that. See if it's worth replacing the toilet paper we use in Oxford. Yeah. I'm trying to gauge Kerry's face.
I know these are funny things. Well, I know we laugh, but these small things are really important. I've got other toilet ideas as well, Sarah. You know what I'd love us to do? I'd love us to do toilet twinning.
Toilet
twinning? Yeah, toilet twinning.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I do know what toilet.
You're not come across toilet twinning. Okay, so toilet twinning is, so in developing countries, there are hardly any toilets in certain remote areas, and that is a massive safety issue for women. So
Oh, yeah.
women are raped on the way to the toilet in the night or whatever. There's all sorts of kind of social issues bound up in this. So there's a international development initiative called Toilet Twinning, where you twin your toilet with a new toilet in South Sudan or Himalayas or whatever it's going to be, South America somewhere. And it's like, so you pay to support the construction and maintenance of a safe toilet for women. And so the Scouts hut in Brynville, where my son goes, they've twinned their toilet with, I think I've got a photo of, I was so excited, with somewhere. So I would love MCC to twin its toilet, and all Mumbles toilets to be twinned.
Yeah.
Because it's something really positive, and it's
Yeah.
going back to the Generations Act, because it's been a globally responsible Wales. So anyway,
And we could have a certificate up in the toilet saying this toilet is twinned with this
yeah,
toilet.
you get a certificate, you got a picture of the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
So could I say that, Carrie, you might not have time, I don't know, tell me if you haven't, could you work
Okay.
through that document and look at the things that you think we're doing already, look at the quick wins, and look at the things that require maybe a bit more discussion?
I would like someone other as well as just me, because it is 42 pages and there's a huge amount of work involved.
Any
So,
volunteers? Oh, yeah.
right, there we are. Because I do need, oh, and Kerry,
Brilliant, that's a nice little group.
because, yeah, it's, and Kerry, actually, it'd be really important to have officers, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because, you know, they're the people in the front line actually using the stuff, so.
So it's stuff we're already doing, quick wins.
Yeah,
And then
that's it,
stuff that might be a bit more challenging that needs a bit more discussion.
yeah.
And anything else we haven't, that's not in there, like toilet twinning, that you think we could do?
Yeah, well, yes, I mean, it might well be in here. I haven't actually read every detail, but wasn't mentioned in the presentation, but I'm sure it might be.
Okay, Brill. So how does that link? My final question on item 7, then, Carrie, how does that link with, and Sarah, with the big leap forward? That is obviously quite a useful
Well,
document.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, the whole point of the big leap is that this is helping us basically meet those
Yeah.
targets.
Yeah. Would you like to bring an update on both of those things? So the March meeting, give a bit of time.
Okay,
Does that sound really good?
yes.
Sorry, Sarah. go on.
I think they might say with the big leap, although it's a very different thing, isn't it? The toilet twinning. They'll say, well, okay, that's great.
Yeah, no, she means the report as a whole, not just
All
toilet
right,
twinning.
okay, yeah, that's great. But otherwise, it's a bit like taking, you know, the splinter out of somebody else's eye and leaving the plank in our own. I mean, get our own house clean first, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah.
It means low chemical cleansers to do it.
Yeah. So sorry, you're involved in the big leap as well, aren't you? Do you think then bring in an update on our progress with the big leap and, you know, an assessment of, right, you know, of 10% of these actions we're doing?
Lydia's the only one who would know about our program. I don't know anything about
Yeah,
it.
I feel completely out of the loop to do
Oh, I
that.
thought you were really
There's
involved.
so many.
No,
Oh, gosh.
I mean, we're both trustees on the Environment Centre. We get a report from the project manager, but we're not actively involved in doing anything. No.
I thought you were really
No.
involved. So Kerry, are you okay? Shall I email that to Lydia, or do you want to do that? Just ask her for an update in the March meeting on the big climate leap.
Yeah, I'll catch up with her when she comes back from holiday, and I'll see if she's had any progress on it, and then we'll take it from there, Helen.
Because if it's the March meeting, I think that gives 2 months, doesn't it, or sort of a month and a half to sort of just prepare a bit of an update. Everyone happy on that?
Yes.
Can I just check, Chair? Would you want Lydia to be part of that group as well?
I think not.
No.
Only because I think Lydia's got a lot on, and I think that's quite a sort of sufficient group.
Okay, thanks.
Right. So Lydia and March meeting. Okay, shall we get on to the next item, which is like a substantive item really, which is the kind of all the stuff we're doing and this Lydia's report.
Okay.
Item 6, everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Has everyone had a chance to look at Lydia's really lovely December and January reports? They're in the folder. Do you get access to the folder?
No, that's a point actually.
Yeah, co-opted.
Co-opted members here can't see the Teams folders unless you would put them and then it would I mean, obviously you can use Teams. So maybe it's a matter of remembering to email them out
Yeah.
to non-MCC co-optees. Because there's co-optees on other committees as well, aren't there? So it must be the same issue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for this committee, and that's, you know, quite a big part of the committee, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, Ed, that you've not seen that. Lydia does these PDF reports, like summarising.
Right.
I think Rebecca's going to get up now. You to try. And there we are. Oh, thank you.
Perfect.
So they are really nicely put together, I think, and it just summarises.
I've had one of them previously, I think.
Yes, because I think everything used to be sent out by email. It's only quite recently we've started using Teams folders.
Oh yeah, it's very recent.
Yeah, so that's why you haven't
Okay, great.
I'm not going to.
this one.
I'm not going to present Lydia's report because you've got it in front of you, but I think if we just take some of the major activities that are coming up, we can, you know, because I think there's a few bits of information we need to share and just get clear about.
Yeah, very good.
There's a few little kind of errors I noticed in it, like some of the volunteer numbers are wrong.
Well,
For the Oyster Mart, they said there were no volunteers. Well, I saw you in a photo with one.
yeah, but the reason for that is, I think, is that she's only done the numbers up to the end of December. Because if you, this is planning.
Because for the males litter pick, there were 20 people there. She said 3.
Oh, right.
And the Oyster Mart said 0.
Well, yeah, because as I say, she hasn't done the update. This is
Right.
events to look out for. This she did.
Right.
This is her December report. We didn't
Sorry,
do the
Chair. On the report I've got on screen here, it says on the males litter pick, number of volunteers 20, number of councillors 2.
That's right.
Yeah, I was scrolling. It looked
Yeah.
that looked attached to something different.
No, what she hasn't done is, because these are still under events to look out for, even though
No,
they've
this
actually,
is this summary of December goals.
yeah.
And then if I click through, you've got volunteer in there for males. Then you've got the Oyster Mouth Community Orchard on the 4th of November, 14th of November, you had 3 volunteers.
I
Then you've
did
got-
go, but I was too late. for
Yeah, then
that.
you've got no volunteers on this day, which was the installation of the notice boards at the community at the nature reserve. Then you had 8 bags of general waste collected and 9 bags of recycling collected. And then if I click through, coming through to what she's saying, look out for, she's got the Oyster Mouth litter pick on the 7th, because this was December's report. She's got Norton Nature Reserve dead hedging on the 20th, which was 2 days ago. And then that's the end of that one. And then what she's done is she's prepared January's report, but obviously because she wasn't here, she hasn't been able to update the numbers that are on the January's report. Because when I was looking at them before, I noticed that a lot of them said 0 on them and 0 on them. So
That's fine. So that's just a matter of that's not been done. And sorry, my mistake. Because when I scrolled down, I read males, and then underneath it said volunteer days 3.
Yeah,
It's just
on
the wrong way round. Yeah.
No, it's the
Yeah,
other way round.
Yeah. Yeah. So sorry about that. If you're scrolling through quick, it just looks like 3. That's fine. Thank you for the explanation, Kerry.
it's okay.
So shall we just go through some of the kind of main activities and initiatives that we've got coming up?
Yeah, well, of course, January is almost done. We've done most of these.
So we need to discuss the gardener's question time. Is there any news on the Litter Pig Hub, Kerry, are you aware of in terms of when that might go live?
Not that I'm aware of, but Lydia is actively chasing it, and we are really keen to get that up and running because we are getting inquiries about it.
Yeah. So that's fine. That's one thing for us to keep an eye on, because in a previous meeting we had discussed some promotional activity, like photographs or volunteers, or so maybe just as a committee, just to be aware that it could be quite short notice for Lydia to try and pull a few of us together for like a photo shoot, or you know what I mean, something like that. So shall we start with gardener's question time, which is one of the main things that we've got coming up as a committee, and the Mumbles Green Heroes. Rebecca, do you want to just give a very quick update on the Mumbles Green Heroes first, the next one?
Yeah, it sounds like Mumbles Green Heroes is all in hand, so it'll be on the 22nd of February.
Oh, right.
That is right, isn't it? Yeah. The theme is waste, reducing thereof. And we've got Chris Howells, who is a senior officer with Swansea Council in the Waste Department, talking about their upcoming kind of strategic direction, really. So looking at moving to reusable containers for green bins, which will reduce the need for single-use plastic to the tune of 10 million plastic bags across Swansea. Increasing the number of recycling streams, looking at whether we can recycle Tetra Paks, for example, plastic film, that sort of thing. And then he's also suggested, which I would have not thought of if he hadn't mentioned, talking about the new commercial recycling obligations that come into effect early March, I think it is. Really, really important for Mumbles with the number of small local businesses that they have. So I think that'll be a really interesting presentation from him. So he'll be the main speaker. And then we've got 3 kind of supporting acts. Yeah. So Enya will come from Plastic Free Mumbles, as already discussed. Isla and Christina Williams will come from the Repair Shop Cafe, which has just started. They've run, I think, twice. So just kind of flagging what the intention is with that and how people can get involved. And then, forgive me, I've forgotten his name.
Andy Rees.
Andy Rees is coming, the Welsh Government guru on all things recycling.
Yeah, he's a head of waste strategy, and he's been head of waste strategy for like 20 years. He's renowned and applauded across the UK and Europe, really. And he's the one that's really pioneered and masterminded Wales's huge, 3rd best in the world in terms of recycling.
Yeah. So they will be asked to sort of speak for say 5 minutes each, just to introduce themselves and what they're about. And then we will have a kind of panel, so that will bring us up to about 45 minutes worth of stuff, maybe less. And so then we will have, they will act as kind of like a panel, but I'm going to chair it as a plenary. Yeah. So we're going to encourage everybody who's come to not just ask questions, because the panel aren't there as like, we have all the answers. Yeah. It's, bring your ideas, bring your frustrations, bring your, what you think is really important, and let's have like a plenary discussion about that. And then hopefully we'll all go away infused and full of things that we can get involved with.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it sounds fantastic. So yeah, all in hand, Underhill Hub.
Underhill Hub. Yeah.
5:30.
22nd of Feb, yeah.
Like maybe just thinking of sort of combining 2 things in one. Maybe the next Mumbles Green Heroes could link in with the Friends of the Earth strategy, the climate change toolkit, and actually bringing up and using that as a launch for raising profile.
Yeah. Send that to Lydia. Oh, sorry, Ed.
Links to the Big Leap Forward as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Ties it all in.
Regulations having to be in discussion with lots of businesses locally.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that would be.
Are you happy if to mention that to Lydia? Because she's got a running list.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's been quite a few suggestions for.
Oh, good. Oh, that's fine.
Yes, she can book it.
Just like it, she can add it. And yeah, definitely. I mean, we should be making sure that wherever possible we bring Big Leap into events like that.
Yeah. That
so
really good.
It's seeing if Natasha can come.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. I think that's a great suggestion. So should we go to the next event? So that's all in hand.
I thought Natasha would definitely be there for the Big Leap.
Do it again, Sarah.
I thought Natasha would definitely be the most important person there for the Big Leap, for her to see the different people who are working on green projects, because she might want to speak to them to get them involved.
Yeah. Okay, so the next event we've got before the end of the financial year is the Gardener's Question Time event, which was one of our new budget proposals that went in last year. And we can always plan to have it at this point of the year, because it also act as the launch for Mumbles Buzz and Bloom. So Mumbles in Bloom hasn't been held for a few years, as Carrie was saying earlier, and Phil Keaton, who was then chair of culture and who initially held Mumbles in Bloom, and it was requested that our committee take it up. He brilliantly rebadged it as Mumbles Buzz and Bloom, which I think's got a great sort of ring to it, to reflect and focus on wildlife and pollination, and possibly that competition had not had in the past. So Mumbles Buzz and Bloom now lands this committee. So we've got two things happening. We've got a Gardener's Question Time event, which is an event in itself. We went through the whole budget process. I think there's a grant for it. That was scheduled for the 16th of March. And Carrie noticed, thank God, that it's the last day of the rugby internationals. So Lydia's chosen that date. It's got to Hill. They've booked it for us. And Carrie said, I'm on massive Wales-Italy game. So we definitely do. So I've emailed Kerry and Claire, and obviously Lydia's off, suggested that we absolutely need to change that date, and we'd look like fools if we held an event on the same time as Wales' last game. So Kerry's approved that, and Claire's on the case, so going back to Underhill. So the idea of Gardener's Question Time was, I don't know if anyone listened to the Radio 4, got the pitched that idea basically. So you have people in an audience asking gardeners questions to a panel of experts. So the panel of experts that we thought about, so any more ideas we need, was Tavion, was the head gardener, was Klein, a big part of Swansea's Parks Department, he's agreed. We thought of Martin Russell, our own lovely grounds person, who was kind of agreed in principle, but he feels a bit quiet perhaps, or whether he's just in the audience, if he's not feeling comfortable. So, but it'd be great to have him, because he's got tons of knowledge, and he's such a lovely person, and he's ours. So then another lady called Sue Kent, who lives in Caswell, and she's part of Gardener's World. I said she's part of, so she's agreed in principle, so we need to pay her a fee of circa £300. Woo! And it could be 250. And then the other person we had was like a vegetable growing expert. So we had asked, so I
asked Neil, but he said, not my thing.
So we've got, so I think between that three is great, but we do need that extra veg, because veg growing is quite a big thing in this area, isn't it?
Exactly.
So I think we need to find.
Does anyone else, can you think of a few?
Ask Sue Kent as well.
I'm not thinking about it, yeah.
Well, Chris from Cash Hardware is very knowledgeable.
Sorry, do you know what? I missed out two people. We've asked Chris from Cash Hardware, and we've asked Louise, and I think she's, I'll come back to her in a minute. We asked Chris, that's Lydia's idea, asked Chris from Cash Hardware, but he'd rather not. He said he'd love to be there and maybe be in the audience, but he doesn't feel he's equipped to be on a panel of experts. And then you suggested Louise. So can you say who she is?
Louise, she's won a medal at the Royal Horticultural Show. She's my next door neighbour. Her husband, who's also very knowledgeable, but is not. He's Conrad. He's the son of Vernon Watkins, the poet.
Oh, good.
And just another little name. The mother, Gwen Watkins, was 100 last weekend. She was at Bletchley Park, and she's written books about Dickens. Bletchley Park. So Louise is very quiet. She's quite timid, but she's very knowledgeable. It might, I think when I spoke to Lydia, there might be like a double act to support each other. I don't know. No. Conrad, because Conrad's, I think he's probably better presenting stuff. But he does. He used to do something in the care field, but I think for the last 15 years he wanted to get out of it, and he's become a gardener. So,
well, I think it's great to have those local people, because it's a local event and it's like a pilot. This really, we've never run it before. Is this something that would work, year on year, become a popular event? When I spoke to Tavion on Friday and Richard from Friends of Klein, they thought it would be really popular. And they said there's a lot of little gardening clubs, like one that meets up at Burton Hall, and so put the word out, because those garden clubs want to come along. So I think we just need to find an extra person for the veg.
Allotment person, yeah.
And I'll try and rack my brains on, Sue Kent might have, even if it's something in South Wales, we've got a good few Mumbles people there, so if it's something,
I was going to suggest asking Sionnad Trick from Clownderw, because she runs a farm, and I know from
You could suggest
years
it.
back of experience, she's always trying experimental different ways of growing. You know, she's always ahead of the curve for alternative green growing. So she might be a good person to put on. I mean,
Yeah,
she's not trifling.
and she's lovely.
Yeah.
She was. Thanks, Sarah. Let's add that to the list. So that's the nature of the event. Hopefully, Underhill Hub around 3 o'clock on Saturday the 23rd. Fingers crossed. And you know it'll be so. Tavion's asked quite. Tavion's asked quite a lot of questions, like practical questions, like will the questions be in advance to give them time to look it up? Will, like on Gardener's question time, the same question goes to the whole panel. So I don't think the question needs to go to the whole panel because you'll have ones who are more expert than others and that will take ages. And I do think it's fair enough asking for questions in advance. So I thought if we ask people at least a week, so all the questions will be chosen like a week in advance. So for them to send them in advance, we can then give the questions to people and then decide which ones they
They
like.
could do a bit of research.
I do think maybe ask just one or two, if we just allow a few, literally one or two tricky words at the end. So to give it an element of spontaneity.
Well, right, no, the best way to do it is ask them.
Sorry.
Did you say the venue's going to be the Underhill?
Yes.
So people will need to book, otherwise.
Oh, it's going to be an event, I think.
So could you ask people to submit that question?
Oh, good idea. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
We weren't sure like how many people would come, but then Richard and Taylor did say they thought it'd be popular.
I think it.
I think it's a very good panel.
Yeah.
So do you think it would be?
Locally, I mean, people know what I don't know
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
And the lady you described from Gardener's Work, she's quite famous
Yeah.
and local. And these people who got a really deep knowledge of horticulture and as a team.
Yeah.
So you think it'd also be? You think?
Can I mention as well, look, so that we don't end up with egg on our faces, any gardeners who are involved, I think you need to size them out to see if they're environmentally inclined gardeners. The last thing you need is someone bringing up a question about weeding and they go, oh, I spray with glyphosate. And you're sitting there thinking, this isn't what we wanted in an environmental.
Yeah.
So I think it needs to be with a skewer towards environmental gardening. Otherwise, you don't know what people are going to come up with.
Yeah, I'm thinking the marketing to this. I don't know. I think it'll be called Gardener's Question Time. I think in the marketing you could definitely, give the context to the event around that sort of theme. So make it clear that that sort of progressive approach is part and parcel of what this event is about.
Sorry, I was just going to put back to the question. Because what you don't want is like you say, has anybody got it, and nobody answers. You have people in the audience who have questions ready.
That's right.
And you have them available so that you've got a steady stream of whether it's questions, comments, whatever.
Sorry. Yeah.
Is it being here?
Say again.
Is it being held here?
Underhill.
Lydia thought Underhill worked really well for the Green Heroes. But I think if we're
It's a bit small, isn't it?
well, that's
Exactly.
well, I wasn't sure if they would, like in my idea, I wasn't sure if they would attract that many people, but you're saying that you think it would, and that's what Tiger and Richard thought as well. So maybe we just need to look at the venue as well anyway.
The advantage of Underhill Hub, of course, is it does have the
That's what she said. That's what she said.
which of course none of the other halls run.
GQT is a radio program.
Say again.
It is.
GQT is a radio program. It doesn't need a screen.
Okay, they did say that. That's what he said, wasn't it? So that's why we chose it.
That's right. But no, you're right. Maybe we don't need it for that. We don't need a screen, so we could use here. I mean, my personal view is we should only ever use Underhill if we don't have our own place available, because, for goodness sake, it's there, we should be using it.
Yeah. Well, I've given, Lydia wants some element of autonomy in organising this, so I've given her that. But I think it's if we feel that that place Underhill isn't big enough for what the uptake might be, then I think that's a different one.
Yeah. I'm also slightly concerned about using Underhill on a Saturday afternoon, because it will be full of kids playing football.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, I did ask her about that, but she said it wasn't booked. Most of the football is all in the morning. All the football matches tend to be on a Saturday and Sunday morning.
Well, do they?
But,
Whenever I go past in the afternoon, it's full of people playing football. But maybe they've
Yeah.
changed,
Well,
maybe they've moved.
I think we need to check that change.
We just need to be aware that, you know, we're coming to find ourselves competing with, you know, Mumbles Rangers second team who've got their big match on that day or something.
Yeah, so we're going to change the date. So what we need to then also just be clear about is our event is the launch of Mumbles Buzz and Bloom. So we talked about that at the beginning of the meeting with categories. So that would be all tied up in the marketing, and we'd be able to introduce and explain what that's about. Yeah.
Suggestion from our allotment, we've got Jonathan the Bees.
Oh, yes. Jonathan the Bee Man.
He's a bee man. He is
Yes.
not. He plays organ in one of the churches around here. Really nice guy, and he speaks really.
And he's very local.
The bus stop sign up on West Cross Lane.
Oh, yes, yeah, really lovely.
He's lovely. He's a lovely guy.
What's his second name?
This is Jonathan the Bee Man.
What's his second name?
Jonathan Coombs.
Coombs.
Jonathan Coombs.
Okay. I thought you said Jonathan Morgan. I thought, oh, Organ Morgan then. I thought, no, I'm going back to sleep now. It's disappointing me.
You suggesting? Do you think he'd be a judge on the first? What were you
We're talking
thinking?
about question time panel. Looking for someone else from the allotment.
Different, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's right. Sorry,
With the buzz bit, he knows that.
yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything to say about the buzz?
Yeah.
The best for insects and
Okay. Yeah, fantastic. So that's another. Do you have a contact for him? You could. Oh, you've got one. So Rebecca Action, send the contact, and Sarah. Are you gonna come back to me?
Emily's got her hand up first, Sarah. Not ignoring you.
Okay.
In terms
I
of
can't see Emily from here.
in terms of Mrs. Trick, sorry, just I want to make sure we get the actions captured for Ian. So would you be okay to contact her to see if she'd be able to attend in being on the panel? Do you feel confident?
Okay.
So what we don't want to do is ask so many people and then we get a panel of 10.
Yeah, but this is it. We're going to end up with more panel than
Yeah.
So who's Sarah contacting?
And Sarah's contacted Mrs. Trick,
Mrs. Trick.
and she leads a lot of the. I'm going to come to Amelia, Sarah, if that's okay.
Okay. That's fine.
Just on the point that if you do use Underhill Hub and they do have the screen, I could make it then visual. So if I could see the questions beforehand, the picture of the flower, I can make a movie or something.
Yeah.
Or have some fact things, or if they're using a certain product or whatever, I can have those on display. So it's as well, and then like have that more interactive that way.
So I think the reason why she did want a screen, I think it's because it linked to the launch of Mumbles Buzz and then help explain things.
And then have the categories and all that. So I don't mind making
That would be great.
digital
Yeah.
all that if you need it.
Yes, I think that would give her a more professional event.
Yeah.
Let's see if Underhill can do the 23rd.
Yeah.
If they can't, that gives us, we have to
Then we'll make it more
Yeah.
radio.
Yes, that's fantastic. So
Of course, now, just a thought, Oystermouth Radio. Maybe Oystermouth Radio would record it.
It's fun.
Yeah.
okay, right, fine. I like that. Do you know anyone?
I do.
Could you take an action to fabulous? Thank you very much. Right. So Sarah.
Sorry, Helen, again, the side about the bee person. The main concern with beekeeping, I've had people saying, I want to keep bees for the environment. You go, no, you don't. That's a bit like saying I'm supporting booksellers by buying all my books from Amazon. It's about the same equivalent, because honeybees are absolute bastards. They take over everything. They go through all the flowers, and there are loads of other types of bees who go hungry then. So I'm fighting for that for the underbees. So just in case he starts trying to sell the idea of beekeeping to everyone.
No, he won't. He does not want lots of people keeping bees. I can assure you, it's the last thing he wants.
I
Good,
think
good.
that event needs to be a way of involving people. So it's not just who's on the panel, is it? Because the panel is going to have to be small and quite tightly managed. But, you know, Cash Hardware said they'd like to be in the audience. You could ask the Wildflower Cafe. You could, you know, the Bee Man or Mrs. Trick might say, sorry, I don't feel like I want to be on a panel, but I want to be there and I want to just talk. And so it's not just like a them and us, but maybe a more participatory, you know, just
Yeah.
you know, there's other opportunities to talk about what you're doing and what your interests are, that sort of thing. I'm really aware of the time. We've got 6 minutes. I think they're the 2 major events that we've got coming up, and then we'll know more. The only thing we haven't covered, Sarah, actually, whether you can take us through this in a couple of minutes, is the wildflower turf planting. Apologies, I'd forgotten. There's a lot of documents. Can you tell us what proposals?
I think it's
The only place. Sorry, what have I done? Sorry, have I done something? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, I hummed and hard about this because I don't want it to go anywhere near the Mumbles Road for obvious reasons, because they still spray there. So I didn't want anything polluting the flowers. So I would have just said where we always said we were going to put them, and that's start with the co-op, just outside the co-op, where we've already had agreement. I think Kerry, didn't we? Kerry?
No, it's further down Fairwood Road. I think we've got the places fixed.
They're going to be done anyway, are they?
Well, that's as far as I know is what we're doing in February. There's a date for it.
There's a date and there's 2 costs.
Oh, right, that's fine.
And in the papers that were circulated, I think there was about 2 or 3 different wildlife. So there's definitely costs with a long list of all the flowers that will be part of it. And then there's a number of catalogues for different riders.
There's one other place, but I feel cheeky if you're doing that already. There's one other place just at the bottom road, or where does Mark live? That road along just below
Riversdale.
Yeah, there's a corner there which used to have wildflowers years ago. We stopped them, obviously.
I think you're now confusing the wildflower turf planting with just general wildflower planting.
No, I know they're not wildflowers; they're hardy annuals. I know, but they've gone. There's a few, bless them, that are still fighting their way through. But if we could plant some wildflower turf there, that would be lovely. But I understand if you can't, you need to put it elsewhere because West Cross has had their amount.
I've got an idea. So I think there's 2 figures in the papers. I think one was 1,600 and one was slightly more, wasn't it? So presumably you've got, and presumably Martin's organised this, I don't know. There's an area marked out that you've all agreed on, and he's got a quote for a pile of plants to go in there on a date that's in the papers, which has
Helen, I think that was for the 2 sides of the green, West Cross.
So I got an idea.
No,
it's not. Nothing to do with West Cross Green. It's Fairwood Road.
Oh, so my idea is, Sarah, right, that does anyone know if the date is before or after this next committee meeting?
It's the 17th of February.
Yes, it's before the next committee meeting.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, if in the next committee meeting we knew we had some money spare, we could say, you know, there's a bit of extra money that you could have used to do the turf.
Yeah.
You need permission from Swansea Council first. You can't just turn up and plant turf.
No,
because they need to know to tell their mowing gangs.
So is
where to mow and
that Sarah then? Is that Sarah in terms of?
And even when you do tell them, they can still mow over it, as I found out with the Tenby daffodils last year. But it's those 2 areas on the green on either side of West Cross, I always thought would be great for actually showing what NCC could do and make it look as good as, if not far better, than the stuff that they do with the glyphosate. And we'd win the argument then.
So just to summarise then, an area, I was just trying to accommodate you, Sarah.
I
An
know,
area,
I know.
yeah. An area's been already agreed, Martin's already got quotes for, or was about to order the stuff. It's about to go ahead on the 17th of Feb, that's fine. That will be, and I think the budget is it was £2,100, wasn't it? It's £2,100 in the budget. So there might be a little bit of surplus. If there is surplus, I would say, this is my suggestion, others might disagree, that £500 to spend, Sarah, could go to general bulk planting in West Cross.
Yeah,
you be up for
thank you, because Rebecca
Or
and I
and
paid
elsewhere.
Rebecca and I paid extra out of our money to have more bulbs planted in both sides of the West Cross Green. But actually, when Phil and Martin went down to plant them, one side couldn't be planted at all because it was too wet. And the other side, I think they did plant some that side, but I don't know whether they spent all the budget that we gave, because we gave, how much more did we give, Rebecca? I think we gave
completely
£100
different
each.
in the wildflower turf. We're trying to kind of have two conversations.
No, I know, I'm talking
Completely
about
different
this,
things.
just saying budget.
Sarah, sorry, I'm trying to accommodate you. So as I just summarised, we have an area that's been agreed. It's going ahead. That's brilliant. All I really wanted was an update to the committee that that's happening. I still feel that if there's West Cross was allocated £2,100, and that's the same amount that Oystermouth presumably had at the time.
No, it was completely different because they're different areas.
Okay, is everyone feeling then that if there's an underspend on the money, bearing in mind that we're trying to spend our money this year, if there's an underspend of however much, £100, could be £500, do you want that money to go back into the committee, or would you be happy for West Cross to have that money for extra bulb planting?
Fabulous.
I think the conversation, what we're supposed to be agreeing tonight, isn't it, is what wildflower turf we're going to buy.
Well, that's not clear from any recommendations. All is in those pile of catalogues. And what I'm trying to just get clear, I'm happy. I thought that had been, to me, is there a committee decision that we buy the carry orders, which I don't know. I don't even know the difference. So there's no recommendation with this. So what is the recommendation then?
Okay.
It's
I'm starting to feel like the Judea.
Well, Martin presumably has come up with these.
Or something from Life of Brian. Okay, Rebecca.
So I'm not an expert in what wildflower turf is going to thrive in this site. So I think if the budget is £2,100, that was originally envisaged as West Cross is turn. Then I am happy to delegate to Martin the choice of turf up to that amount.
Yeah, because it was less in his proposal, wasn't it?
And if there is underspend, I would argue that that is retained in West Cross too, especially because I've seen in correspondence about, some of those turfs then after a couple of years that some species don't thrive as well. So a bit of plug planting, bulbs rather, bubbles. But that money,
Brilliant. Thank you.
that is my proposal.
Yes, brilliant. Thank you.
I think there's an agreement there's going to be some plug planting alongside this wildflower turf.
Great. So let's just delegate all of that decision making about what goes to Martin up to.
Well, less the cost of hiring the equipment he needs, which also needs to come out of the same budget. But I don't need to get carried away.
21.
Spend it all and then finally haven't got enough to hire the turf cutters.
So you're happy with my proposal then for that underspend, if there is underspend, back into West Cross? I was the one who raised about plug planting, which was as a result of the conversation with Madam Martin, and I thought it was a really good point that over time,
I agree.
The wildflower turf that we're putting in, over time, certain plants are really dominating that, and so the quality of that is lessening over time.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite useful to have a little rota of, you plug plant, kind of after the little ones you've done over a number of years. So, can you capture that, Ian, in terms of that?
I think so.
Yeah. Thank you.
When you vote,
Yeah, I think the only thing is Martin will just need to make a recommendation because there's two different price options. So it'll need to be.
we will need him to sort out.
Up to a point. It can't go above that point.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just, has this not already been agreed? Because if we can't get agreement on buying this till the 12th of February, we won't have it to do on the 17th.
I don't know. It's come through council.
Yeah, I don't know if it has been agreed. We'd have to go through the minutes.
Yeah, have to work.
But that's the first time I've seen. We've obviously been in the budget, but the first time that we've had sight of specific figures or, you know, a list of planted plans in terms of the composition of the turf, the first time we've seen it is today. So I don't know if it has gone.
Can it be approved retrospectively, then, Chair, or at full council?
What's the best way to proceed, Kerry, do you think?
Sorry, bear with me 1 second. I'm just looking at something. It won't be a second.
She's found the minutes where we already agreed.
Yes.
But we did discuss it in the last meeting, but I'm just not sure if it was recommended in that way.
Sorry, excuse me.
So if it wasn't, then it'll go to full council, and it can't go to full council on the 29th, can it? To the special meeting then?
No,
That's a budget.
Yeah, so I just think we can't add on to that.
I don't think so. Well, I thought so anyway.
Sorry about that. I don't think it has gone to full council before. However, in the new scheme of delegation that was just agreed last month by council, myself and Paul have authorisation for routine expenditure within agreed budgets.
Ah, yeah,
So we could rely on that.
yeah, good plan.
I mean, presumably, I think we just can't really go on the basis of that, carry on and plan it. It's so unlikely not to get passed anyway, and retrospectively.
Well, it's like Kerry and Paul have got all.
She wouldn't have to go through the committee, the council, would she?
No, we've got delegated powers, which was agreed in the last meeting for routine expenditure within budgets. And obviously this budget for environmental committee was agreed last year by council. So obviously we can rely on the delegated power to spend that money.
So that I'll pick you up when I'll pick that up with you, Kerry, when I see you on Friday, because that's actually quite a useful thing to know for other elements of the budget, isn't it? I sort of quite appreciated how that meant it could change the rules. So you could explain that to me. So that's all going ahead on the 17th. Is it, Sarah, in terms of promotion or anything, what do you need in terms of, do you need anything to go on? Because Claire's obviously had that conversation with me today about promoting environmental committee stuff. So would you want just a post about it?
I'm going to have to speak to the council first. I think I'll have to speak to Kerry Davis first and have a word about the areas that we are thinking of taking over and explain to him. He did send me an email. I think he sent you the same one a while back, Rebecca, asking if we wanted to opt into their wildflower stuff, which I didn't. I started responding and I thought, breathe. So I'll get back to him and say, no, we are doing our own thing and this is where we're doing it. So I just need to know that that is happening, you know.
So once you know, Sarah, brilliant.
Okay.
Once you know, if you want Claire to put out an MCC environmental or MCC piece saying, you know, the new wildflower planted in West Cross, you know, the second of 4 that we're doing across the whole of the area over the next couple of years, let us know.
Great, I'll do that now. I'll send it.
8 minutes over, I'm sorry everybody. We don't do any AOBs, as you know, so everyone content to finish?
Yeah.
That's a short choice.
Ian and Kerry, thank you so much for your preparation, and I'll see you on Friday.
Yep, see you Friday, Helen. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye.